So I guess to begin with, tell me a little bit about your shop, your Flower Power Bakery.
Oh, I started baking back in California. I was with the catering company for the Sands Hotel in Reno with Mel's Diner, and I started from there. I'm a mother of four sons. Three are military, one's a cop, and I got into baking mass amount of cookies for soldiers, being with Soldiers Angels. I was on the bake team. And ever since then, I've just branched out and I do a lot of baking, and we send supplies over to the military. We make care packages, and all the proceeds from my farmers markets goes toward the military in one form or another.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you'd started baking in California.
hmm
What was that like? Tell me about that a little bit.
It's the same. It's just very, it's baking is baking. You just
Yeah.
start, yeah.
Well, how'd you get into it though? You know?
I started with Mel's Diner, and they asked me to do some of their events, and then I thought, oh, this will be fun. And I was doing childcare at the time. I had owned a couple of childcare facilities, and thought, well, this is fun. I can feed people, and they can enjoy my items, and started from one thing after another.
Cool.
Then I moved here and applied to the culinary program, and I fell in love with all the instructors and learned a lot.
So I guess that's sort of interesting to me. Like if you were already doing that in California, why'd you decide to go to the culinary program?
I wanted to, well, I love to bake and I love to cook. I mean, I would do catering and cooking, and I thought, well, I want to zone in on my skills and see how much better I can get. And I really enjoyed it. Great program. They're a wealth of information. It's if you don't come out of that program with anything, then you really weren't trying. You weren't wanting to learn. But it's a wealth of information and great instructors. You
Cool.
come away with a lot of knowledge, a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine, especially with the practicums that you guys
Yep,
do.
yep. Hands on, you get in there, you show up, you're cutting, you're, chopping for a couple weeks, and you start on meat, you start on, baking, you start on Gardier. I mean, there's everything you learn. It's basically like the Culinary Institute of America, but in a crash course.
Yeah.
Wonderful instructors, both of them highly, highly trained.
Yeah, no, Tim and RJ told me that they both went to the Culinary
Yep,
Institute of America, so they try to align it
yep, and they
exactly.
do. And there's no false, um, what do I want to say? There's no false pictures coming into the program. They tell you exactly what it is, what they expect of you. You either do it or you don't. Some kids make it through, some kids don't. You have to have a love of food to make it through.
Yeah,
But like I said, out of all the programs I've been, and I've got quite a few college degrees, this program with these two gentlemen were awesome for the
cool.
culinary part. Yeah.
Now, over on like Ross Lynn's side, he told me that he focuses more on the business end of it.
Yep. Business, hotel management, hospitality management, how to own and operate your own business. And I think I was one of the oldest participants in the program when I went through. But I heard he owned several child care facilities, so I already knew how to own a business. And very detailed, like I said, hands on, wealth of information from that gentleman. Um, Getting in there, you can leave there even knowing that you can open a business with the information he's given you, or how to work in the industry, knowing what you've learned from there.
Now, he said that you already had the idea for Flower Power by the time you were going through his courses.
Yes. What happened was when I was catering at the Sands Hotel, we had I guess, a flower fight back in the kitchen, and someone said, "Hey, Flower Power," and that name always stuck with me. So I've had it ever since then.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, tell me about some of the recent work that you've done. I know you did a couple of weddings yesterday.
I just did, yeah, a couple yesterday. I do weddings throughout the summer. I do a lot of, I do catering. Um, um, I recently adopted a soldier that's in Afghanistan. His grandparents live in Sheridan, and I've been sending him care packages. And then I send care packages of cookies to my son in California who's military. And then anytime I can drop off baked goods to the National Guard Armory in Sheridan when they're open and around, I do that. Yeah.
Cool.
And when my husband and I are traveling, if we see a truckload of soldiers coming off the bus, we stop right away, buy their snacks for them, and take care of, and that's all from the proceeds that I do from the baking. And then this is the other project. this is where a lot of the money goes to. Every month, I send out 4x6 cards to every parent who's lost their child in the war zone. And here's a list of all the soldiers that have been killed. And so I send them out 4x6 cards like this, telling them, hey, thank you for your service. I'm sorry you lost your child, but we'll always be here for you. So every month I do that, and that's where a lot of my funds go to, buying the rolls of stamps and buying the cards.
And this is I'm guessing 27 and 2018 alone.
Oh no, that's since the war has started.
Okay.
Yeah. So it dates back all the way to 2001, all the way up to current status.
Wow.
We actually had a couple come out from Iowa and drop off their son's dog tags to me, saying thank you for sending me a card. And they said you're the only one that remembers him. The government hasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, every month I do that, and that's where a lot of my proceeds go to. And we take care of soldiers, like we've sent formula to soldiers, we've done a nursery for a soldier, we've picked up a washer for a soldier, we've done diapers for soldiers, furniture for soldiers, yeah. Whatever they need, we send out.
Very nice. So how many of these would you say you've done so far? I guess you've
I've been
done
doing
all
it
the
since
highlighted ones,
2008, since my son was injured in Iraq. And then I thought, well, I can open a bakery here in town, and we've looking at storefronts, but couldn't afford the rent, so state approved me to be licensed. I'm the only licensed residential bakery out of Johnson and Sheridan County, state approved. So I bake hundreds of cookies and ship them off, and yeah.
Cool. Now, I'm guessing your son is like, around it and probably helps you out with the bakery and whatnot, right? Or okay.
Nope, it's just my husband and I. Our kids are we've got one in Missouri, one in Fort Benning, Georgia, and 2 in California.
Wow, all over the place. Dang.
Yeah. And I'll get notifications, like people will walk through the farmer's market at Landon's in Sheridan or here in Buffalo going, hey, I've got a kid deployed. I'll go, here's my card. Tell them to get a hold of me, or you get a hold of me. Let me know what they need. I'll send out cookies. I'll send out cakes. I'll send out care packages. Yeah, and everything is made in the bakery and sent right out.
Cool. Now, how many care packages? But I mean, like I know that it probably varies from year to year. But how many would you say you probably send in like a year?
Oh, it depends. One month we sent out 150 of them.
Dang.
It just depends on what they need. You can leave that there.
Oh, okay.
I gotta work on it.
Okay. So sorry about that.
No, gosh, no. I've got so much work to do. Yeah. No, but I've learned a lot from Ross Lynn, how to fine-tune my business. Like I said, I did own several child care facilities over the years. After 32 years, I thought, oh, I might as well open a bakery. So I did, and I learned a lot from him on business-wise. I've convinced a lot of students to, take his courses because they wanted to open their own business, and people really have no idea, oh, this will be easy. Running a business isn't easy. There's a lot of ins and outs of it. The paperwork, the taxes, the licensing, the supplies, what's needed, your allocation for items every month, yeah.
I mean, from what he was telling me, it almost sounded a lot like my marketing classes back whenever I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it just seemed like a good, like you said, like a good thing for any business-minded person
It
to
is.
take.
If you want to get into the service industry, and that's restaurant, hotels, catering, bed and breakfasts, eatery places, you should definitely join, get into that program. Like I said, Mr. Lynn has got a wealth of information, and he's, been doing it for long, and he's got a lot of experience, and you can learn a lot. And the books that they recommend you get into are awesome. Same with the culinary. I mean, I still have all my culinary books, and I'll go through going, oh, I can use this, or I can use this. Awesome. And if I have a question, I'll just go ask, hey, RJ, how do you do this? Or Chef Tim, how do you do this? They don't have a problem helping you after you're done with the program or while you're in the program.
Cool. Now, what was probably the favorite thing that you worked on while you were in the culinary program? Was it baking stuff, or was it
No, I really didn't get a chance to do baking because I was more advanced than most of the students, so they sort of like pushed me through. Was learning how to, prepare meals, display them better. I had issues with meat. Every time I had to open a package of meat, I passed out on the floor. Yeah, meat and blood don't go well with me. Now, if you were to cut your hand, I wouldn't have a problem suturing you up, not an issue, but packages of meat, yeah. So the best part was learning how to display the food and how to present it. Yeah, and the cutting, how to get things just precise.
And I'd imagine doing weddings now, I'd imagine that's probably helped you out a lot,
Oh,
being
yeah.
able to present it.
Yeah, everything presenting, what's eye appeal, what colors go well with colors, and, giving feedback to brides saying, okay, this is what I would suggest for your tabletops. This is what I would suggest for flavors. You don't want, pumpkin and licorice. You want to blend in the flavors where everybody enjoys it.
So whenever you're doing this, you don't just think about the cake then, you're thinking about
I'm thinking
the
about the whole
whole,
picture. Yeah.
wow. I
I
never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I did a wedding a couple weeks ago where the bride didn't have an idea, and her colors were black and pink, and then she changed them to black and orange. And I said, you're looking more at Halloween. People think it's a Halloween. She goes, no, I don't want that. And I said, let's go to brown and orange and do tabletops with leaves and sunflowers. And she went, okay. It was up in the mountains. It was perfect. The cake had sunflowers and leaves on it. The decorations around the table. So when you're doing an event, you got to look at the whole picture. How can you make it eye appeal? You want to make it where everybody's just like, oh, this is beautiful. And the food presents itself.
Cool.
And I learned that all from the culinary and from the hospitality program.
Awesome. I think that's it as far as my questions are concerned. Do you have anything that you want to add to the?
No, I mean, if anybody, wants to get into the program, definitely look at both of them. I mean, I did both of them, and I think it's an awesome, awesome program that's offered at Sheridan College. I mean, I've been through several different colleges. My kids always laugh because I have a lot of college degrees, but this is one that I really, really learn and continue to use. And like I said, Mr. Lynn and Debbie Isaacs. Debbie Isaacs tells you and teaches you how to write the proper resume, how to present yourself when you're, out for an interview, what to and how to go about saying, hey, I want this job. Well, how do you find it? How do you go after it? How do you present yourself where they will take you above everybody else? Mr. Lynn gives you the opportunity to operate a business, how to own and operate a business, how to get into the service industry, how to further your career, and what to look for, what customers need and what customers don't need, and what employers need and what they don't need. And then Chef Tim and Mr. Chef Tim and Chef RJ, they'll give you the insights on presenting the food, how to cook the food, how to prepare the food. Can you keep up the pace if you're in a busy restaurant, or are you going to go, and panic? They give you the ins and outs of it and how to prepare, and awesome. I mean, the whole program, I couldn't speak higher of the program.
And I'm guessing if you're missing like any part of that, any part of those three, then I mean, I guess it would be a lot more difficult for you to run your own business.
Yes,
today.
it would be. And like I said, there was a lot of kids that went in there thinking, oh, I'm going to open a bar serving food. I'm going to open a bed and breakfast. I'm going to open a pizzeria. But they had no idea. They just thought, boom, I'm going to open it. Most businesses don't last more than 5 years. Like in childcare, you open the childcare facility, a lot of childcare providers don't go past 5 years. They can't handle it. It's very rare that you'll find somebody that can last that long, but then they're business minded. They know how to own and operate a business. They know the paperwork, the tax, strategy that you need. They know the list of items that they need to get. And it's the same with owning a business. There was a gal in Mr. Ross's class that wanted to open a bed and breakfast. So I got her some books on bed and breakfasts, how to own and operate them. Her dream is to open one up in the Bighorn Mountains. And so I said, follow these books, keep taking his classes. This will give you an insight. But again, it's like, oh, I can do this, but without even thinking, it's best to go through that program, and it gives you the whole insight of what you really need. When you're working in a resort overseas, their rules and regulations are different than stateside. You have to understand how they operate, what their customers want. So it's a whole picture that you're getting into that outlines everything that you need.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you had a lot of college degrees. Just as like a little tidbit, like in there, like what
I have an early education childhood degree. I have a business degree. I have a bachelor's degree in international business, a nursing degree. I have a CNA degree.
Wow. So like what guided you towards baking? I mean, I know that you know in
Well, my
California
mom
they
baked a
asked you
lot.
to,
My
but
mom baked a lot, and I used to follow her in the kitchen. And my mother was from Germany, and Belgium, in fact, Antwerp, Belgium. And she met my father while he was in the military, and I would watch her baking, and I thought, oh, this looks great. And when we travel, I always have to try desserts first to see how good they are. And I'm hoping one day to get to Tuscany, Italy, and learn how the pastries are made back there. And yeah, and I was lucky enough where my father was military, so we grew up all over the world. So I was able to try a lot of the cuisine that most kids will never be able to try unless they, figure food's my love. I'm going to travel and learn how to cook and bake.
it's really interesting that you brought up that there's a lot of kids who will never be able to try, worldwide cuisine. And, RJ and Chef Tim were both talking about how much the food scene has changed in Sheridan since they went there.
Oh yeah, it has definitely changed. Just over the few years, you have a lot of Mexican restaurants. Some are authentic, some are not. Some are the American type Mexican food. There's a couple that are the real authentic Mexican food. You've got Indian, you've got Thai, you've got Japanese. I mean, there's a variety. I don't know if there's a French restaurant, but to be able to try the different foods from around the world is amazing. They teach the French cuisine. They have international cuisine. They have North American cuisine. And if you can get in those classes, well, it's part of the program. You can learn a lot on how, oh, this is French food. My husband works with a gentleman that is actually from France and bringing me back a cookbook from France so I can
Ooh.
try some of their cuisine and, mix and match and experiment, as they call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
But yeah, if people have a chance, and I always tell a lot of kids I see around town, if you have a chance to get out and see the world, do it. Well, I'll do it someday. I'll do it someday. That someday may not come. So if you have the chance to travel, see the world, try the different foods, try to live in different areas, try to grow with those locals, take that opportunity and jump at it.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you very much, Maria.
Oh yeah, no problem.